G'day, welcome to Gender Critiques. So in this video, I'm going to talk about TERFs. Now, what TERF stands for is, it's TERF, it's an acronym, and it stands for Trans-Exclusive Radical Feminist. Radical feminism is a political movement about women, for women, and being fought by women. Radical feminists, we're not trans-exclusive, we're male-exclusive, Basically, like, we're inclusive of women who might have gender dysphoria and identify as males, but we are not inclusive of anyone who is born into a biological male body, whether or not they identify as female. So TERF is a slur constantly thrown out against not just radical feminists, but any woman, rarely men, but any woman who speaks about gender identity movement and its attack on women, and it's a female erasure, etc. Because what it's actually at the core of the gender identity movement, what they're trying to do is, what they're after is the erasure of woman as a biological class. So any woman who speaks out against that will get called a TERF. Any woman who criticises anything or anyone within the gender identity movement will get called a TERF. Any woman who maintains that men and women are different biologically, and that this has had huge significance on the way that we're socialised, on the way that we're conditioned, on the way that we are treated by other groups and factions within society, on our experiences, on our opportunities, etc. It's all impacted by the biological sex that we're born into, and any woman who maintains that will get called a TERF. Any woman who is speaking out and defending our existing sex-based rights and spaces will get called a TERF. The reason it's a slur is because it is almost always used in a context that is abusive, and it's also and accompanied by threats of sexual or physical violence. It's a term that endorses and advocates for violence against and encourages violence against women. And as I've been speaking, you should be seeing different various examples of the way TERF gets used, but I will put a couple of links to a couple of archives that we've got, which have just screenshots of all of the ways, all the tweets and shit with TERF in it and the ways that they've been used, etc. That you can go and check out. But just these aren't the one crazy crackpot in 1,000 sort of thing. These tweets and this kind of rhetoric is constant. It's consistently used day in, day out. Just last week there was a lad who had photos of his guns, one of which he'd put a nice big fat black dildo onto the end of it and called it a TERF bayonet. So the threat there is that he's going to rape us with the dildo and then shoot us up the vagina. It's charming, like that one. But see, that this is not out of the ordinary. That kind of rhetoric and this kind of tweet, it's fucking norm. It's par for the course. And whereas we can get suspended on Twitter, etc. for tweeting that women don't have dicks, that'll get us a suspension or fucking permabanned, but they can tweet shit like this all the time, day in, day out, and unless we all report them, they get away with it. So it's a huge fucking crime to state biological reality if it upsets the faction of gender identity movement, who are men that are trying to access our spaces. It might upset them and make them a little fucking sad, and that's hate speech and we can get suspended. But tweeting shit like this, that we TERFs get the wall, that tweeting pictures of shut the fuck up TERF with a gun aimed at us, pictures that's okay apparently, because Twitter is one huge misogynistic fucking wank fest basically. But anyway, so it's encouraging violence against women, because what it does is it's like the modern day witch. It others us and then it dehumanises us, which makes it a lot easier to justify and rationalise violence being committed against us, There was actually an art exhibit last year, I think, or the year before, held at the San Francisco Public Library by a group of trans activists called the Genderettes in the States, and the entire exhibit was dedicated to getting TERFs. So basically there were pictures, and there were baseball bats painted the nice inclusive trans flag colours wrapped in barbed wire, and they were they were for TERFs. They actually had there were machetes. There was actually baseball bats, the blades, everything like that, and it's all about getting TERF, punching TERFs, etc. And so you've got to bear in mind that TERFs are simply women who are not who are saying stuff that these people don't like. So the subtext of this is that, you know, any woman who challenges them, any woman who says shit that they don't like or approve of, deserves to get fucking punished. So any women who aren't non-compliant, any women who are disobedient, deserve to get fucking, you know, all kinds of fucked up. It's fucked up, and it's just going on, and like governments, fucking politicians, shit, just leaving it, not saying nothing, you know. And it's made me lose a huge hell of a lot of faith in the governments and the, you know, bureaucracy, etc. But I mean, to be honest, that could also have coincided with my getting more and more involved in radical feminism and seeing patriarchy at work everywhere. For my feminist journey, like I'd had no idea how much women were fucking hated, you know, no idea at all. You know, I knew we would, you know, like patriarchy didn't like us much, but I did not know the how badly and how deeply the hatred runs, you know, until this shit. But anyway, I digress. So another thing you can check out is they actually had a trending hashtag a year, like last year. I don't know if it's still trending, but try it, search it, and it was Punch a Turf. So wherein all tweets about how, you know, all the different ways in which they were going to fuck turfs up. This is fucked up, man, and this is really bad news for violence against women, you know, like the statistics and the occurrence of violence against women, right, fucking disgusting. And believe me, they don't need any help or encouragement. You know, one woman as it is in Australia alone dies every 7 to 9 days, gets murdered by an intimate partner. You know, like encouragement for this sort of shit and endorsement of, like, you know, talking and fucking fantasizing about violence against women. It's not a good sign. It's not a good thing, you know. It's bad news. So yeah, that's the meaning of TERF. I'll put a link as well in the description to a glossary of terms on Maria McLaughlin's Peak Trans website. It just gives an overview of quite a few of the words that are get thrown around in this debate, like cis, etc. I'll put a link to Peach Yogurt talking about cis. She's got a YouTube channel as well, and she's like brilliant, you know. So I'll put her definition of cis because she does it better than I could. And yeah, it's well worth checking out so you can get a bit of a handle on this the word salad that these fuckers, you know, throw around. You know, it's Orwellian newspeak, basically. And yeah, just have a read, and thank you, and have a great day. See ya.